Last chance appeal. First tonight on Our News Live at 7. The Privy Council denies a final bid to overturn a man's murder conviction following the 2012 brutal killing of his on-again, off-again girlfriend. And new tonight, the Insurance Association says it's confident about the outcome of a recent meeting with the Financial Secretary over VAT assessments for policyholders. Plus, ongoing remedial work on the Village Road project, not stopping a smoother ride on the Eastern Thoroughfare. What the Works Minister is saying about its progress. And then in Our News at 7:30, the latest on that Shantytown task force after the February lifting of a court injunction blocking demolition. Our News Live at 7 starts right now. Welcome to Our News Live at 7. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Megan Shepard. The Privy Council has refused a killer's final bid to overturn his conviction for the murder of his on-again, off-again girlfriend. This means that Gibson Raphael will have to serve his 41-year sentence for the July 27, 2012 murder of Killy St. Brave, whose head was almost decapitated with a tile cutter in his rented room on Charles Vincent Street. St. Brave was killed shortly after reconciling with Raphael. The Privy Council refused the appeal, saying there was no risk that a serious miscarriage of justice occurred in the case. During his testimony at his trial, Raphael claimed that St. Brave attacked him with a tile cutter after she saw a text message from his son's mother. He said he took the tile cutter from St. Brave and could not recall what happened next because he went into a trance. The Court of Appeal upheld Raphael's conviction in 2016 in a split decision of 2-1. Police have identified the woman found in the South Beach canals yesterday as 42-year-old Yinka Maria Strawn of South Beach. Shortly after 1 p.m. today, they arrested a 34-year-old man of Western New Providence in connection to the crime. Police say just after 3:30 p.m. yesterday, a group of men were swimming in the South Beach canals when they found the body of a woman partially submerged in waters. Strawn's body was retrieved and brought to shore by divers from the Marine Support Unit. Further examinations of the victim were conducted, which revealed that she received gunshot injuries to the upper body. EMS responded, where they found no signs of life. Investigations into this matter continue. Officials from the Bahamas Insurance Association seeing the light at the end of the tunnel on the treatment of value-added tax on behalf of its policy holders. This is government and the Bahamas Insurance Association have been at odds over the industry's previous practice of recovering the 10% value-added tax paid on health insurance payouts. Our Joshua Williams has the latest.
Value-added tax continues to be the topic of much discussion between government and the Bahamas Insurance Association. In February, the BIA rejected the assertion that health insurers were operating in contravention to the law by health insurers paying VAT on behalf of their policy holders. Vice Chairman of the Bahamas Insurance Association responsible for life and health, Felicia Knowles, revealed that a meeting was held a few weeks ago between the association, medical industry, and other government stakeholders.
And we have had candid conversations with the government, and those conversations we came out feeling as though that the government was going to head in the right direction in that decision. So
Knowles says she is hopeful for favorable results promised by Financial Secretary Simon Wilson.
Indicated that he taken our recommendations into consideration and he'll have a conversation with the ICB and then come back to us and let us know the final decision. We're confident that he would come back with something favorable because anything outside of what was recommended would not be favorable.
She added that these decisions are vital for the association as their number one concern is the protection of its members.
Let me give you an illustration. Somebody is presented with breast cancer. Breast cancer on average is $350,000. We have VAT. If they're accessing care here locally, if VAT is applied to that, that's now $35,000 coming out of pocket, as opposed to the person having a policy that has a $2,000 out of pocket expense. It's a hard impact. You'll need more than the cookout. You'll need more than the so-so. You know, you might have to remortgage your house. And that's not what insurance is all about. Insurance is about protecting yourself against all potential risk.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Joshua Williams.
All right, thank you so much, Joshua. It's time now for your first look at temperatures. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is standing by in the Weather Center. Greg?
Yeah, thanks, Megan, and welcome everybody for our first look at weather conditions around the islands and your temperatures. 79 degrees outside our studios right now. It's pretty nice with a few clouds. Your winds are out of the northeast at 12 miles per hour, and your field slight temperature is at 77. Temperatures around the islands tonight right now, it's 77 in Freeport, 77 in Marsh Harbor, Abaco, 78, Alistown, Bimini. We pick up 79s in Nichols Town, Andros, over in Great Harbor Key and here in the capital. Governor's Harbor, you are 78. Central Bahamas, 80 degrees. Kemps Bay, 77 in Arthurstown. You have some showers nearby. Coburn Town, San Salvador, you are also 77. Pair of 78s in Georgetown, Exuma, Deadman's Key, Long Island, and into the southeast Bahamas. 80 degrees in Duncantown, Ragged Island. 78s in Colonel Hill, Cricket Island, Delectable Bay. 79 in Abrahams Bay. Turks and Caicos Islands, 81, and Matthewtown in Agua, you guys are currently 80 degrees at this hour. Taking a look at our satellite and radar composite, lots of showers and thunderstorms, mainly across the central and southeast Bahamas. That's associated with a surface trough. That little low-level disturbance is actually going to continue to stay stationary, but provide us with some showers and thunderstorms across those portions of the islands. High pressure dominates the remainder of the islands, and we look for this stationary surface trough to remain through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Stick with us and look at your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on Our News, smoother rides for motorists on Village Road, but months of reconstruction leads business owners to seek compensation. Plus, the 29 BPL linesmen now in training narrowed down from the 300 applications ahead of the program's launch. And later, wastewater and its warning signs. Our Marlena Leonard explores the issues in our Sustainability First segment when Our News returns.
Original or hot and spicy?
Oh, it's your thing. Do what you want to do. It's your thing. Do what you want to do. Oh, it's your thing. Do what you want to do.
Shareholders are very happy.
Oh, it's your thing. Do what you want to do.
Welcome back. After months of reconstruction to a major thoroughfare, business owners in the Village Road area are now seeking compensation. The Minister of Works and Utilities is addressing those concerns. Jamila Mizik has more.
Motorists who travel along Village Road can now enjoy a smoother ride following the extensive road improvement project. However, business owners in the area still have some concerns for repairing damages incurred during the multi-million-dollar roadwork project. Works and Utilities Minister Alfred Sayre says remedial work is ongoing.
Those residents whose driveways as well as businesses whose parking lots were damaged, remediation is taking place.
He adds that sidewalks are also being constructed.
The initial plan was to rehabilitate the sidewalk. As I consulted with the stakeholders, we decided to scrap that and design new sidewalks to go with a new road, right? And that design has been completed, and the contractor should begin installing the new sidewalks. There's also some striping work to be done, as well as signage, especially in approaching the roundabout and so on. So those finishing works which are being done.
Some business owners we spoke to said while the road improvement project was necessary, it placed a strain on their operations. It's an issue the government is now seeking to address.
The businesses have also complained about the impact, and they are engaged in negotiation with the Ministry of Finance in terms of some form of compensation or stimulation.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jamila Missick.
Thanks so much for that update, Jamila. 29 men and 1 woman joining the Bahamas Power and Light family as BPL reintroduced its linesman training program today. BPL Chief Executive Officer Siobhan Cambridge says there were over 300 applicants from across the Bahamas. He explains what the program entails.
First year, the linesman trainees take several courses, including those focused on safety, mathematics, electrical fundamentals, as well as overhead line construction and maintenance. During this period, they're also exposed to practical training exercises. Into the second year, the line worker trainees continue to get on-the-job training and complete the Northwest Lineman College Power Delivery Program, which is an international linesman certification. After 5 years, trainees are eligible for trade testing, which is an intense written, practical, and oral examination with a minimum passing mark of 70%. Only after this is achieved is the trainee eligible to promotion to the linesman.
Linesmen in training Dennis Charlton and Michael McIntosh shared their excitement about the training.
I think it's a great opportunity for us as young adults in the Bahamas, and with everything going on in the country and they think that all the hope is lost for the youths, I think this is a great opportunity for us.
For me, coming away from Inagua is like something big for my hometown because people is like forget us off the map, but it's a big opportunity for us, and if I could do it, y'all could do it too. So don't never get discouraged, keep your head up.
When Our News comes back from the break, we turn our spotlight to stories making headlines across the world. As SpaceX company's mammoth new rocket, Starship, explodes after a previously failed attempt. Plus, in our sustainability first segment, learn how a recent modeling study found the world's coastal waters take on around 6.2 million tons of nitrogen per year, and it's all from our wastewater. And later, getting better with time, we'll tell you about a push-a-thon that's promoting healthy aging. Details when Our News returns. Welcome back. We turn our attention now to stories making headlines across the world. SpaceX company's mammoth new rocket Starship exploded on its maiden flight. SpaceX was aiming to send the biggest and most powerful rocket ever, built on a round-the-world trip from the southern tip of Texas near the Mexican border. The nearly 400-foot Starship carried no people or satellites. Images showed several of the 33 main engines were not firing as Starship climbed the launch pad, reaching as high as 24 miles. And now to the region, where Cuba's National Assembly on Wednesday ratified President Miguel Diaz-Canel for a new 5-year term. More than 400 representatives who were ratified by voters in March took office early Wednesday when they elected government's leadership and the president. Diaz-Canel said among the measures his team will be focusing on immediately are food production and an increase in exports. Costa Rican President Rodrigo Chavez promising Wednesday to put more police in the streets and demanded changes in Costa Rica's law to confront record-setting numbers of homicides. Chavez, who was speaking in front of the Congress building, said too many violent criminals are allowed to walk free and called for more flexibility to extradite Costa Ricans to countries where they are wanted for drug trafficking crimes. Costa Rica recorded 657 homicides last year, the majority blamed on violence related to drug trafficking. And finally, students in Antigua and Barbuda returned to their classrooms today after the Antigua and Barbuda Union of Teachers called off strike action. Union members protesting inadequate facilities, lack of school security, and remuneration packages. Government was forced to extend the Easter vacations as a result of teachers refusing to return on Monday. At today's post-cabinet media briefing, Chief of Staff in the Prime Minister's office, Lionel Hurst, applauded the union for being reasonable in their deliberations with government. This week in Sustainability First, we're talking about something we usually try to ignore, the consequences of our wastewater and the warning signs on our coastlines. Marlena Leonard has more in this report.
A recent modeling study found that the world's coastal waters take on around 6.2 million tons of nitrogen per year from our wastewater. An imbalance in nitrogen can cause things like algal blooms, and in worst-case scenarios, ocean dead zones. Coral reefs are already an extremely sensitive habitat, susceptible to many of the consequences of climate change, and more nitrogen only further weakens the systems, which absorb around 1/3 of the carbon dioxide from fossil fuel emissions. And we aren't exempt here in the Bahamas. When environmentalists express concerns for new projects' waste management methods, it's because they're already seeing the signs. Marine biologist and founder of EarthCare, Gail Woon, explains.
Even the dock where we got on the boat today, there's huge pieces of sea lettuce called ulva, and that's a pollution indicator. So where we got on the dock there's high nitrogen, high phosphorus.
While you may think the solution would be larger, centralized infrastructure, some environmentalists would beg to differ, arguing if waste can be treated and purified on the property that it came from, the water can be recycled for non-drinkable needs like gardening and flushing. Co-founder and CEO of Epic Cleantech, Aaron Tartakovsky, compares it to how the culture has changed around solar power, saying, just as rooftop solar and distributed power generation help to decentralize the electric grid, we believe that on-site water reuse can make water infrastructure more resilient. We're simply 10 to 15 years behind the energy folks. Reporting for Our News and reminding you to put sustainability first, I'm Marlena Leonard.
Still to come in Our News today in history. Find out interesting facts about the day that was April 20th, including the deaths of migrants on the high seas and the opening of a historic building on Grand Bahama. And speaking of Grand Bahama, we'll also tell you about a $10,000 donation for art departments in schools across the island. And then in Our News at 7:30, more on the arraignment of a man who appeared before a Grand Bahama judge for falsification of public records. That's coming up when Our News returns.
This is the Little Caesars Stuffed Crust Pizza. Get more pizza for less money. Only $12. It's a whole new level of
Welcome back. It's now time to turn our spotlight on events that shaped the day that was April 20th. Take a look. On this day in Bahamian history in 1954, Bahamian evangelist, author, and speaker Miles Monroe was born in Nassau. Monroe was the founder and pastor of Bahama's Faith Ministries International and was an international motivational speaker and leadership consultant. He died in a plane crash in Freeport, Grand Bahama on November 9, 2014 at the age of 60. Then in 1960, Commonwealth Bank opened in Nassau. The Historical Society notes its original name was Commonwealth Industrial Bank, and it was a subsidiary of Canadian company Laurentide Financial Corporation Limited. The office was located at the back of a local furniture store and opened its doors with 3 employees. Then, 6 years later in 1966, Thomas Alvin Thompson died at the age of 77. Thompson was a teacher, principal, school administrator, and civil servant. T.A. Thompson High School in Nassau is named after him. April 20th, 1972, Michael Eldon was elected as the 11th Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Nassau and the Bahamas, including the Turks and Caicos Islands. He was the first Bahamian to be elected head of the diocese. Eldon died on February 7th, 2011. He was 79. Then the Carifta Games came to an end on this day in 1976. It was the first time the Bahamas hosted the Games, which were held at the Thomas A. Robinson Stadium. Then tragic news on this day in 2008, when a boat carrying 24 migrants capsized in Bahamian waters. 20 Haitian citizens and 1 Honduran citizen died after the boat sank. 3 survivors, 2 Haitians and 1 Honduran, were found and rescued by Bahamian authorities. And finally, in 2012, the Cornelius A. Smith Building was officially opened on Grand Bahama. Then Prime Minister Hubert Ingram saying at the time that since his early days in politics, he recognized government's physical presence on the island was not strong enough. The Sandilands Rehabilitation Center gearing up to host their 12th annual Geriatric push-a-thon this June 3rd. Committee Chairman Dr. Sasha Dorset says the annual event is all in an effort for the Geriatric Hospital to promote healthy aging within the Bahamian community.
We know that regular physical activity can be rough and can be challenging, but it decreases your risk of developing chronic health conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, and even some cancers. We also know that daily activity can help successfully manage such conditions in patients and reduce the risk of serious complications and illnesses.
Helping to make the event a success are corporate sponsors Kalina and Alive. Alive CEO John Gomez, noting that one of the core pillars of success for the company is a focus on community. To this end, Alive has donated 3 wheelchairs to the Geriatric Hospital, not only for the push-a-thon, but to meet the needs of seniors with mobility issues.
Earlier this year, we established what we call Alive Connect, an Alive Connect initiative. And what it does, it looks at all of the underrepresented community persons in our community. And we teach and look for ways in which how we can help them to make their lives more comfortable and to be able to function in society as we supposed to be normal persons.
This year's push-a-thon will be held under the patronage of the Deputy Governor General, Cynthia Mother Pratt.
These are people who were once doctors, nurses, professionals. You name the profession and you would find that many of them have contributed to the building of this country. This walk-a-thon and push-a-thon. And I'm hoping right now, the nation, you're hearing me, this must be successful because you will demonstrate your love and your concern for the elderly.
This segment of the news is brought to you by H.G. Christie. List your home in Grand Bahama with H.G. Christie. Visit our new office in the Port Lacaya Marketplace. H.G. Christie, celebrating over 100 years of service.
Public and private schools on Grand Bahama receiving a $10,000 donation toward their respective art departments, courtesy of the Grand Bahama Port Authority. Chairperson for the Arts Lukaya Initiative, Fatima Kabab, congratulating all of the local artists as well as students that showcased their work.
The much-needed funds will go directly to the art teachers to use in Freeport businesses so they can buy the art supplies they need for the art student. The $10,000 were the funds that were collected during the ticket sales at the Art Lukaya Vernissage Nights. Also, you can't not recognize the art students who participated in Colibri. We were all so amazed by the talent they exhibited. The eloquence with which they expressed and explained their work was incredible. It is our wish that the exposure the art students received during the festival will give them the motivation and the drive to reach higher and for more.
Several school officials were on hand for the presentation, all expressing their gratitude for the donation.
Our kids not only had the opportunity to display their work in Colibri, they had the option to sell their pieces, which was a first for many.
It will help us a lot when it comes to purchasing more than just paint, whether it's glue guns, soldering irons, etc., everything to create art.
We will be investing the funds to promote art education in our various institutions.
And of course, to watch that story again and for all of today's top stories, visit ournews.bs. That does it for Our News at 7. Joining us now is our Italia Hall with the latest headlines. Italia.
Thanks, Megan. Well, we've got the latest on efforts by the Shantytown Task Force and details from an arraignment over falsification of public records on Grand Bahama. Back before the court. New tonight on Our News Live at 7:30. A 44-year-old Grand Bahamian man arraigned on falsification of public records. Details of his second court appearance in less than a year are straight ahead.
Coming up tonight, a familiar face is throwing his hat in the race to again become BPSU president. I'm Berthany McDermott, and I'll have those details for you tonight in Our News.
And in just a few hours, the Judiciary will launch its digital court recording system. We've got live coverage of the opening ceremony with our Jasmine Brown. And later, cruise ship passengers need more motivation to spend. And RF Bank and Trust executive talks numbers as the Nassau Cruise Port is set to open soon. Our News Live at 7:30 starts in a moment.
With over 25 years in business, nothing says commitment to our people, culture.
Whether you're battling a chronic condition or offsetting a new injury, Doctors Hospital's comprehensive rehab services offer the help you need now.
Go to doctors.
3 advanced facilities at Collins Avenue, Carmichael Road, and Cable Beach means your personalized plan for care is just a visit away. From physiotherapy to occupational therapy and speech and language pathology, our team approach is all about rebuilding together. For a full list of services, visit doctorshosp.com/rehabilitation. Doctors Hospital, trusted and best care now. Isn't your health worth it?
Welcome to our news and thank you for joining us. I'm Natalia Hall. Topping news tonight, weeks after Works and Utilities Minister Alfred Sayers announced Cabinet reconvened a Shantytown task force. Sayers is providing an update on that task force today. You may recall in 2018, the Shantytown Action Task Force was formed, but a court injunction halted its work. However, in February, the injunction blocking the demolition of shantytowns was lifted. Since then, eviction notices were distributed, and government is now moving to demolish structures as a group files an appeal.
The task force is working. We're preparing a permanent location to set up a secretariat and a draft cabinet paper. I'm reviewing it right now.
Well, a Freeport man was arraigned on falsification of public record charges. 44-year-old Glenn Campbell of Hudson Estates appeared in a Freeport magistrate court and was not required to enter a plea. Bail was denied and he was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections until June 5th. Prosecutors allege that between April 19th and April 22nd, 2021, Campbell intentionally and unlawfully falsified a death registration certificate with the intent to defraud the Registrar General Office. Now, this is the second time in 5 months that Campbell has faced a judge. Last November, he was charged in connection with human remains that were found in bushes in East End, Grand Bahama. Now, that case is still pending. The Bahamas Crisis Center raising the alarm in the wake of recent crimes involving gender-based violence. The organization in particular condemning the sexual assault of a minor in the park and the killing of a mother and daughter last week, and the recent report of a sitting MP allegedly choking and abusing a woman. The release also revealing that there was a 50% increase in child abuse reports and 34% in sexual offenses in 2022 when compared to 2021, while the center offers commendations for efforts such as the implementation of the Domestic Violence and Sexual Offenses Unit and the Family Island Gender-Based Violence Coordination Council in Abaco. They're calling on government to pass the gender-based violence legislation to establish a properly resourced sexual offenses court and expand the capacity of the police forensics unit. Now, all of these actions they believe will curb gender-based violence. Well, former Labor Director, F&M candidate, and BPSU President John Pinder is slamming the leadership of the BPSU. He says members have been asking for his return, and as a result, he announced that he will be running in the next election. Berthany McDermott has the details.
The members feel as though he has failed. The members feel as though he has failed.
Former Bahamas Public Services Union President John Pinder is hitting out at sitting President Kingsley Ferguson, saying it's time for the union to return to normalcy. This is just one reason why Pinder and his team are throwing their hat in the race for leadership of the union. Pinder, who left the union and served as acting director of labor under the former Minister administration, says members have been asking for his return.
I didn't really think that I would go back there, even though I was concerned. I keep watching, keep trying to give them advice. They don't take advice. They don't take advice. And so I would give members advice all the time. They say, "Man, we can come to you for advice all the time. You may as well come back."
Pinder says he's received multiple complaints from current BPSU members who feel the current leadership doesn't care about them anymore. But Pinder says he's been tested and proven. He feels his time as acting labor director makes him an ideal candidate for the position.
I only left the union to go back to the government to get a pension. That's the only reason why I left. And when I left, people were crying, "Why you leave us? Why you leave us?" I've learned more, I'm more experienced. I got a much better vision and much better way of doing business now.
Now, as Pinder was a candidate for the Free National Movement in the last election, we asked him if he believes that will impact his chances of again becoming BPSU president.
The trade union movement has always been a part of the political arena in this country. As a matter of fact, you know, started from Randolph Fox, who caused the first PRB government to be ushered in when he joined forces. So that only can strengthen my position.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
All right, thanks, Berthany. Well, a few clouds and some showers and thunderstorms across the area. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is over in the Weather Center with your first look at the forecast. Good evening, Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Italian. Welcome, everybody, for a quick check on conditions outside our studios right now. 79 degrees with just a few clouds out there. Your winds are out of the northeast, slightly breezy at 12 miles per hour, and your feels like temperature is at 77. Satellite view, a surface trough across the central and southeast Bahamas, generating some showers and thunderstorms across that area. Most of the activity is actually just to the east of the Bahamas, but that surface trough will remain in place. We're looking for some more showers across the central and southeastern islands tonight to tomorrow. That's a quick check on weather conditions around the islands. Stick with us. Look at your extended forecast as to look up.
Still to come on our news, enhanced technology. The judiciary gets set to launch a digital recording system Friday. Hear what officials are saying ahead of tomorrow's launch and how the system will improve day-to-day operations. And a championship golf course, the only one of its kind, soon to be constructed on the island of Eleuthera, as ground is broken for the Nicholas Heritage Course. And does this video give you that feeling of nostalgia? While this once thriving multi-purpose building in Grand Bahama is being demolished, we'll show you all the details straight ahead. Stay with us. In just a few hours, the judiciary will launch its digital court recording system in a ceremony that will mark the milestones and map the way forward for the state-of-the-art feature in courts across the country. DCR uses audio technology and advanced microphones in a courtroom, which is capable of speaker identification for judges, prosecutors, defense attorneys, and witnesses. The recording can be later transcribed to create an official record using speech-to-text software that allows the audio recorded to be converted to text within minutes of upload after a court hearing. Chief Justice Sir Ian Weiner shares his vision.
The expectation is that when it's relaunched, all the courts in New Providence, save for 5 civil courts, which we hope to be outfitted by mid-June, will have the digital court reporting. On this phase of digital court reporting, we'll have what's called a speech-to-text. So by end of day, the judge, judicial officer, can get a rough copy of the transcript, which will be available almost immediately in that context.
You can catch the launch event live on our TV channel 212-205 GO 242 and the Our News Facebook page tomorrow morning, and it all starts at 8:30. And now to more on the soon-to-be-open Nassau Cruise Port. I spoke to the Vice President and Group Head of Investment Management at RM Bank and Trust, David Slatter, during our monthly sit-down on the possible impact. He also shared the need for the downtown area to be revitalized in order for cruise passengers to be motivated to spend while on island.
If you can imagine what's been talked about in the past actually happening, a boardwalk along the harbor front, green spaces, condominiums, shopping, retail, not only would it be attractive for passengers, but it would also be attractive for residents and Bahamians who may want to relocate into the downtown core from ever-crowded suburban neighborhoods.
Okay, David, and talk a little bit more about the expected and potential impact on the economy.
Well, as I mentioned, the more we can get each passenger to spend who lands at the Nassau Cruise Port, there's a knock-on effect, right? And the money they're spending in many cases is going directly into the hands of Bahamian entrepreneurs, Bahamian business owners, and they have what's called the multiplier effect, right? So every dollar of foreign currency that flows in, there's a knock-on effect. So the benefit to GDP growth is a multiple of that. Whether it's 2 or 3 times, it depends on I guess, one's view on the economic theory behind it. But needless to say, you can imagine now if that whole area was renovated, you create investment products for Bahamians to invest in, you create real estate for Bahamians to own, and also foreign direct investment coming in as well. That's going to be an essential part of it. And the tremendous, the potential impact on the economy, who knows exactly what it is in dollar terms, but it'll be very substantial.
All right, well, work on an 18-hole championship golf course has begun at Jags Bay in Eleuthera. Jags Bay will be the first Nicholas Heritage course in the world. It will also include the rare Nicholas real estate branding rights as a Nicholas community, a distinction afforded to only a very select collection of developments around the world and the very first in the Caribbean. Now, the groundbreaking ceremony for the Heritage course was held yesterday. Tourism Minister Chester Cooper was on hand for the event.
More than 100 persons are currently working on the project, with that number expected to ramp up as the development continues. The government is extremely pleased that projects like these have the ability to spur development in our family islands and in Eleuthera in particular as we celebrate today. This is an extraordinary achievement which will complement the commitment and the government's resolve to drive infrastructure development and growth in these communities.
Now, Prime Minister Philip Davis also attending the groundbreaking.
Our blessings here in the Bahamas are many. We've been through very difficult times, but our strengths, the natural beauty across our islands and our extraordinary people are the source of our resilience and our ability to keep growing and moving forward. Jags Bay is a special development on a special island, a special country it is in. With impressive short and long-term development plans and an environmentally conscious energy blueprint, Jags Bay is set to become a shining new addition to our treasured tourism product.
Cable Bahamas media team recently launched yet another venture, Go 242, a new channel that promises to be the go-to for news, entertainment, and information. Well, I spoke with the Vice President of Media, David Burrows, today about this newest addition to the brand, and he says viewers will not be disappointed.
Go 242, the idea behind it is, first of all, 242 is the Bahamas, and when you are on the go, it's about, well, how am I going to get where I'm going? What is the traffic like when I'm going, where I'm going? Is it raining? How am I going to get from one island to the next island?
Cable Channel 242 and 205 will now be the home of Go 242. It's a place where you can find everything that's happening in the Bahamas in just one location. The channel that keeps viewers informed about movement in the country displays up-to-date national and international news, as well as airline airline and mailboat schedules.
I wanted to find a better way of getting the information out. We know that maritime information is important to a lot of people, but if you are just Nassau-centric, you don't necessarily get that information. Well, what we're looking, and we're working, for example, right now with the dock master to make sure that that maritime information is very updated, right? That's important to people within the Family Islands, and anybody in the Family Islands is connected to somebody in Nassau.
There's also weather information across the world and live traffic cameras in New Providence.
Whether it's the traffic over the bridge, whether it's the traffic at Marathon, Robinson Road, you can see all of these different arteries around the country and exactly how they impact your life. I find it very interesting, especially when it's raining and you're looking and you're going, my goodness, I can't go out there right now. Look how flooded it is.
People are also allowed to advertise with the channel and be a part of Go 242 celebrations.
Well, what we've done is we built an interface to make it so much easier for people to do that. So you can literally go onto our site, ournews.bs/celebrations, and we do call it celebrations, whether it's a going home celebration, whether it's a birthday, whether it's a christening, all of those things, and you can upload your photograph, put in whatever your best wishes are, things like that, pay for it online, and you don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to do anything.
All right, so exciting. And if you want to learn more about Go 242, you could head over to ournews.bs where you will find the extended interview with the VP.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When our news comes back from the break, does this building on Grand Bahama look familiar? Well, soon it will be no more, as it's now being demolished by its owners.
The Bahamas has a new basketball champion. We catch up with Domingos on the soccer pitch, and Jazz Chisholm and Antoine Richardson conclude their series. Stay right there for Our Sports.
And nice temperatures across the country, and for those attending the National Family Island Regatta this weekend in Exuma. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is back in studio with your extended weather forecast. Stay with us.
This is our news. Welcome back. A building that once housed several well-known businesses in Freeport is being demolished. Our news capturing aerial footage of the Blaniva building located on the Mall Drive next to the former Wendy's restaurant this morning. Businesses such as Success Training College, Tanya's Glamorama Salon, and Casey's Music World attracted hundreds of residents to the building over the years. The Blaniva building has been a part of the city of Freeport for more than 2 decades, but had fallen into a state of disrepair following Hurricanes Matthew and Dorian. Our news understands that the owner of the building made the decision to demolish the once thriving multi-purpose plaza.
Today's sports update is sponsored by Corona, distributed in the Bahamas by Jimmy's Wines and Spirits.
A new national basketball champion is crowned. The UB Mingos take the soccer pitch, and the Marlins and the Giants wrap up their series. Tej Adderley is up now with a check on sports. Tej?
Hello, Italia. Good evening and welcome to Our Sports. A new national basketball champion was crowned over the weekend when the national round-robin tournament came to an end. Here's more. The Commonwealth Bank Giants are your new national champs. The Giants won the national round-robin tournament on Saturday night, beating the Abaco Showtime Ballers 107-89. Jackson Jacob led the Giants, and he was the MVP with 26 points and 7 assists. Dylan Musgrove added 20 points to help the Giants get the dub. Godfrey Roll Jr. led the Ballers with 28 points, and Brandon Meadows had 24 and 7 rebounds. Congratulations to my former squad for bringing home another national chip. Moving on to the soccer pitch, the UB Mingos took on the Western Warriors recently, dropping the match 2-0. We have the details here. The UB Mingos soccer team recently dropped the match to the Western Warriors 2-0. The Warriors got the party started in the 30th minute, scoring their first goal. They would take a 1-0 lead into the half. They added a second goal in the 55th minute, and it was a defensive posture all from there. They would beat the Mingos 2-0. Coach Dion Guedet of UB laments his team's missed opportunities.
We didn't do what we've been best at all season, that's score goals. We had an opening opportunity to really change the complexion of this game early, but we missed, blank range, and then we went out.
And finally, Jazz Chisholm of the Miami Marlins and Anton Richardson of the San Francisco Giants played their final game of their 3-game set in Miami last night. Let's see how this all-Bahamian Major League matchup turned out. Anton Richardson's San Francisco Giants got the best of Jazz Chisholm and the Miami Marlins last night, beating them 5-2. Jazz went 1 for 6 with a single and 4 strikeouts, but he did manage to swipe his 6th bag of the season. Alex Cobb got the win for the Giants, pitching 5 innings, striking out 8 batters, and giving up only 1 earned run. The win breaks the Giants' 5-game losing streak. The Giants back in the bay tonight to take on the New York Metropolitans, and the Marlins will take on the Cleveland Guardians over the weekend. And that was your look at sports. I'm Tej Adderley. Back to you, Italia.
Nice temperatures on this Thursday in the capital, but you may be wondering what the weather will look like heading into the weekend. Greg is back with the answer right after this quick break. Stay with us.
Enter to win a chance to join us at Corona Island for the ultimate immersive travel experience by purchasing a 6-pack of Corona from now until May 7th at any Jimmy's Wines and Spirits locations or participating stores. Visit livecoronaisland.com to learn more.
I get it. You can order stuff on wimauto.com and pay for it online.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
Online is just the first step.
They have next weekday delivery in Nassau, Monday to Friday.
What if I don't live in Nassau?
Wimauto.com will send it to the mailbox.
What if I don't want nobody knowing where I live?
They have a store.
What if I don't want to come inside because I don't like air conditioning?
They have a drive-thru.
If you love wimauto.com so much, why don't you just marry it?
If Wim Auto starts selling fries, we're going to have to reassess this entire relationship.
When I had got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live at Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. That's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
Welcome back to our news. The National Family Island Regatta is now into day 3 in Exuma, and many Bahamians are enjoying the Exuma seas and food. But what will the weather be like as the regatta continues throughout the weekend? Meteorologist Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center watching an upper-level disturbance into the weekend. Greg?
Thanks again, Natalia, and welcome back, everybody, for our final look at weather. Around the islands today, we still have that surface trough hanging across the central and southeast Bahamas. That's going to be generating some showers and thunderstorms across those areas. Most of the activity will stay to the east of the islands, but that surface trough will hike around for just one more day before it pulls out towards the east. High pressure dominates the remainder of the islands. We're looking for a couple of spotty showers across those areas. But as that surface trough sticks around, we're looking at conditions to stay rather unsettled across the central and southeast Bahamas. Future forecast, putting the map in motion. As I mentioned, most of the activity staying to the east of the islands, and that will continue through Friday as that system pulls towards the east and away from us. But we're watching an upper level disturbance that's going to be getting in here sometime by Saturday. That will usher in some more showers across the northwest Bahamas beginning on the weekend. Boating conditions across all areas tonight through tomorrow. Very nice out there. Your winds will be easterly at 10 to 15 knot, seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Your high tide will be at 9:06 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your extended forecast, we keep a few more showers in the forecast through Friday. Saturday looks pretty nice and, well, warm, but we do expect the frontal boundary to get in here sometime by Sunday, so we're looking for some showers beginning next week. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe night, everybody.
All right, thanks, Greg, and thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you tomorrow night on The Record with Jerome Sawyer. Starts right now.